All right, this is my integration practice lab, and we're starting integration. And this lab in particular, we're going to practice the left and the right hand sums. So I just want to remind you that the change in my x is going to be b minus a all over n. We're going to use that formula. And remember, this is in the changes in the width of the rectangle. So this is the changes in the width of the rectangle. And then B is the end of the interval, and A is the beginning. So it's basically the end of the interval minus the beginning. And then N stands for the number of rectangles. Okay, so I'm going to practice this a couple times so you'll see what I'm talking about, but you're going to use this delta x equals B minus A over N quite a bit. So for A, now all I did was I scanned this in from a book, and I actually scanned it in 4 times so I could actually draw this on here. They want me to do the left-hand sum. Now remember, the left-hand sum comes from the left, okay? And I'm doing a sum of delta t equals 4. So first of all, we have to do delta t equals 4 to figure out, all right, if delta t is 4 and I look at my interval, I got to figure out how many rectangles I'm going to have. So let's do the 4 right here. So if I know delta t is 4, all right, and this way they said delta x, well, it's still delta t. So I know this is 4 equals, and let's look at our interval. It goes from 0 all the way to 8. So the end of my interval is 8 minus the beginning is 0 all over n. So basically I'm looking to see how many rectangles I have. So when I cross multiply that, I get 4n equals 8, or n is going to be 2. So they're basically saying the change is 2. So we're going to actually only have 2 rectangles. So when I go to do this, I want you to see what I've got here. I'm going from 0 to 8, and they said 2 rectangles. And they said there the delta t is 4, so they're 4 wide. So here's the base of 1 rectangle. Now when we do the left-hand sum, so I'm going to change up colors a little bit, but the left-hand sum, you're going to start on the left of this, and you're going to come over to the 4, and you're going to come down. So there's my first rectangle. My second rectangle, I'm going to start here on the left, and I'm going to come over and come down. Now when I do that, you'll see that I have a rectangle with area of 4 by 32 here, and then I have a rectangle with area here, okay, 4 by 24. So you can say my left-hand sum, so let's do this here, my left-hand sum, we can write it as, oh, I have a width of 4 times the height of 32 plus another width of 4, and the height is 24, okay? You also can write your left-hand sum, all right, just so you see how you do this, is you can actually also write it like this. Because they both have a 4 in it, I can say, you know, the width of all my rectangles are 4. I'm just going to multiply it by 32 plus 24. So I got my width. Either one of these, however you do this, you're going to end up with 224. So you just found the left-hand sum, which is the area under the curve, which is 224. Okay? Now we're going to do the right-hand sum. So I'm going to show you how the right-hand sum works. All right, so the right-hand sum is still, this is 0. Still the width of my rectangle is 4 because they said delta t was 4. Now I'm going to take this, and now you're going to come at the right-hand side, whoops, and the right-hand side at 4, okay, is you're going to start at this, you're going to come down, and then you're going to come over because I'm coming over from the right-hand side. So there's my first rectangle. My second rectangle, I'm going to start over here at the right, and when I come over, it's just flat, okay? So when I do the area of this one, here's the area of the first rectangle, and the second rectangle, there's no area at all. So let's do the right-hand sum. The right-hand sum is going to be 4 times 24 plus 4 times 0. Or you can say, I like writing it this way, the right-hand sum is 4 times, and then you just hit the 24 and the 0, 24 plus 0. Either way that you do this, you're going to get the right-hand sum is going to be 96. So a couple things I want you to look at. This is a decreasing function, right? Everybody agree with me? When I do the left-hand sum, do you see how I'm overestimating? Because look how much of the rectangle is outside. Because the whole point of this is to find the area under the curve. So now I have these two rectangles. I find this area, I say it's 224. I do the right-hand sum, coming over from the right, coming over. Do you see how I'm underrepresenting the area under the curve? Is 96. So if I were to ask you, what do you think is a good estimate of the area under the curve? I'm going to actually add my left-hand sum and my right-hand sum, and I'm going to divide by 2. And that would be my average, okay? So my left-hand sum was 224. My right-hand sum is 96. I'm going to divide that by 2. So when I do that, I'm guessing, or my guesstimate of the area under the curve is 160, is the area under the curve, which I know, I don't know if it's how accurate it is because I'm overestimating here and underestimating it. Maybe it's pretty good. Okay. Now we're going to do C and D. So C and D is right here. They want delta T to be 2. So I'm going to do my formula here. I'm going to do delta X, or delta T, is going to be B minus A all over N. So they want delta T to be 2. So I'm going to 2 minus the N, 2 equals 8 minus 0, because that's my interval over N. So then I'm going to cross multiply. So I know 2N equals 8. N is going to be 4. So that means I've got 4 rectangles I'm going to draw. Okay. So we're going to do the left-hand sum and the right-hand sum again. Same curve, still trying to find the area under the curve, but now we're going to do it with 4 rectangles instead of 2. So if they tell you that delta T is 2, that means this is a rectangle, 2, 3, 4. That's how wide they are, okay? Left-hand sum, let's go. So we start on the curve, come over, come down. All right? Start at the curve, come over, come down. So I'm coming from the left. Start at the curve, come over, come down. Left-hand sum here, start the curve, come over, come down. Now, because of this is a decreasing function, I can see I'm overestimating again. So let's kind of put the color in. So I have a rectangle here. I have a rectangle here. I have a rectangle here. And a rectangle here. Just using a bunch of colors so that you guys can see I have 4 rectangles going on. And I like to kind of shade them a little bit just so you can see that the actual rectangle. Okay, so let's look at this one. If I do the left-hand sum, okay, what is the width of the rectangles now? They're all 2, right? So instead of doing each rectangle separately, I can say, oh, I know they're all 2 wide. The height of this first one is 32. The height of the second one is about 30. The height of the third one is 24. The height of the fourth one looks about, well, I kind of went above. So let's kind of erase this because I think I went a little crazy here. I'm going to say it's about right here. I'm going to plus 12, okay? So it's a little off, but just so you know. So when I go to do the left-hand sum from this, I do 2, add that all up, I get my left-hand sum to be 196. So I'm thinking that's the area of the curve, but as I'm looking at it, I still know it's a little overestimate because it's a decreasing function. Now let's try the right-hand sum. Okay, so we're going to do the right-hand sum. I know that these are all going to be 2 wide, but now we're going to come from the right. So here's my curve, come over from the right, come down. There's my first rectangle. Come over from the curve, come over, come down. Come over from the curve, come over, come down. All right, come over from the curve, and this one's flat. So let's fill in this. So I've got this rectangle here, this one here. I like to alternate the colors. I got one right here as well, and that one's flat. So when I do the right-hand sum, so I'm coming from the right, my width is still 2, but now I'm going 30 plus 24 plus 12 plus 0. So when I add those all up, multiply by 2, I get my right-hand sum to be 132. Now, if I want to average this out, same curve, I'm going to do the left-hand sum again, plus the right-hand sum, divided by 2. So I have 196 plus 132 divided by 2. So I get the area under the curve is about, let me see on this one, 164 is the area under the curve. Up here, we got it to be 160. So you're like, oh, okay, I'm seeing that I'm getting this a little bit closer, and it looks like with more rectangles, it's more accurate. Okay, we'll look at that. So now let's look at this curve right here. Now this one also is a decreasing function. So we're going to do the left-hand sum and the right-hand sum because I'm asking you to estimate the integral from 0 to 3. So that's our interval of f of x dx. And when I ask you to estimate that, you're actually finding the area under the curve. And it's kind of cool that we can do this using rectangles. And we're going to use our left and right hand sum. And they didn't really tell us what to use, so I'm going to actually use 1. So let's do the left hand sum. So the left hand sum, we're going to start on the left. So here's our interval. So there's our 3 rectangles. I'm going to start here, come over, come down. Start here, come over, come down. Start here, come over, come down. So I have 3 rectangles. Here's the area under the curve. So I've got this going on here and this one. So there's the area of those 2, and then the area of this rectangle is here. Again, it's an overestimate because it's a decreasing function, and you do for your left. So I'm going to say all my width is 1, and I'm going to do 16 plus 8 plus 4, which is the same as saying 1 times 16 plus 1 times 8 plus 1 times 4. It's the same thing. It's just a quicker way of writing it. So when I get my left-hand sum here, equals 28. So that's my left-hand sum. I think the area under the curve is 28. Now over here on my right, we're going to do the right-hand sum. So you're going to still use the 1 for the width of the rectangles. I'm going to come over here and start at 1 and come over. See how this is underestimating it? Come over at 2, come over, and at 3, come over. So my right-hand sum, I have a width of 1, and I'm going to multiply by 8 plus 4, and that looks like, let me see this one here. Whoops. And right here it looks like maybe 2. Okay. So now I have my right-hand sum is going to equal 8 plus 4 is 12 is 14. Okay. So when I go through and I want to find out what my estimate is, I'm going to take the 28 plus 14, okay, which is 22 or 32 divided by 2. Okay. Well, wait a minute. 28 plus 14, just a minute. I've done so many videos. 42 divided by 2. Sorry about that. So I get my average, my area under the curve is 21, is the area under the curve by averaging my left and my right-hand sum. So I hope this helps. We're going to practice more of this in class. And I just wanted to show you that you can actually find an area of the curve using the sum of the rectangles. And that's why I did that. So I hope that helps.